The Dauphin Island Sea Lab's Manatee Sighting Network just published an article in the Journal of Wildlife Management about how bridge and other in-water construction projects, such as boat launches, docks, ports, and dredging, impact the wildlife in our waterways. Caroline Carruthers is here in studio, not in a manatee costume.
I know, I'm really slacking today.
I know, I feel like I
didn't get the memo of costume.
But she is going to tell you about how construction is affecting the manatees.
Yes, so any kind of construction means, of course, more boat traffic, and that really means and could lead to more vessel strikes. Now, construction materials also can block access to the food source for these manatees, and they could get tangled in these materials. They could eat the materials if they're not disposed of properly. Of course, that could harm them. Now, the construction itself as well, so pile driving, dredging, it stirs up the water and it can release some toxins. It can also really have a negative effect on their food sources.
Now, before construction begins on these large in-water projects, don't construction companies have to look at the impact their work may have on our environment?
Yes, so when they issue the licenses, they have like specific things that they have to go through. So with many of the local large water projects, there's a report that comes out. It's called the Environmental Construction Assessment, and it outlines these potential effects. Now, the Manatee Sighting Network contributes data to this report about how they think the project will impact the wildlife.
They're so sweet. Look at that picture.
Know. Look at
How
them.
can these companies and the people who represent these companies help minimize the risk to these animals?
So Elizabeth from the Manatee Sighting Network was saying training construction crews to be on the lookout for manatees if they see one, cease what they're doing. Of course, cleaning up those construction materials properly as much as they can, and just planning ahead with the licensing and all of that can really help reduce the risk.
And we were talking earlier during our Facebook Live, there are actually more manatees in our waterways these days.
They are. So of course they're reliant on people reporting them, but they are seeing an increase. So they estimate 50 to 100 manatees reside, there's the word, here in our local waterways, and data has shown that they're sticking around longer, so for a longer period of time. Now, Elizabeth from the Manatee Sighting Network also tells me that people are not used to looking at these potential impacts for these animals because we used to not have as many of them, but now they're increasing in number and we really have to take them into account.
And manatees really are important to our ecosystem.
They are. So they eat seagrasses, and the way they're positioned in the food chain, they're good environmental indicators. So if the manatees are doing well, obviously the seagrass is doing well, and obviously the water quality is good. So they're just really important to gauge how the environment is.
And again, so nice to look at. They are cute.
I know, aren't they the cutest thing?
Thanks, Caroline. You can see the full story on WKRG News 5 at 6.